There are 5 skills that you need to succeed in work in 2022. I'm Jen Whitmer, and I help teams and leaders solve conflict and personality clashes as a speaker and a coach. And today, I want to talk about these 5 skills that you can learn. Well, really, I'm going to break down one skill into 5 parts. So, in Forbes a few weeks ago, I read this article about the different things that we need to succeed in 2022 as we're all a little exhausted from the past couple years. I don't know about you, but also because work has changed, the way we lead has changed, and what are the skills that are really going to move us forward, and how do we get them? So the skills that they listed in this survey were collaboration, communication, stress management, emotional regulation, self efficacy. And I was so excited to see some of these skills here because none of it was about, learn how to code better. It's all about how we deal with people. And leadership is all about yourself and dealing with other people. And I really got to thinking about self efficacy. And self efficacy is this word that people are like, what does that even mean? And one of the great things about this is it is a skill you can learn. Self efficacy is really a fancy word for confidence. We often think of confidence as a feeling or a gift that some people have. But confidence, my friend, is something you can learn. It is a skill to grow in, not just some emotion you kind of wait for, or, you've been knighted with the gift of confidence. It is something you can grow in. And there are 5 skills, there are 5 parts of self efficacy, otherwise known as confidence. So the first one is performance expectation. And the idea behind performance expectation is I've done this before, I can do it again. I have a friend who sings this song with her kids. You've done it before, you can do it again. And I sing that to myself sometimes when I'm struggling with the idea of, oh, can I do this? So, and it's about the importance of self storytelling. What is the story you're telling yourself? So, first, you have to recognize that you're telling yourself a story about your performance and what you've done before and what you want to do next. And so when I was an early in my career as an educator, just as a teacher, ended up creating the schedule for our school. So school schedules are incredibly complicated. This was an elementary school. It had 9 different grade levels because it was K-8, and we had to move things around. So kids got to lunch on time, duties were scheduled, all that kind of stuff. And for some reason, I was the one who ended up doing the schedule. When I left that job and stayed home with my kids and then went back into an administrative role, one of the things that I was going to have to do was create a schedule for special times during the year, for example, testing or spring break, some things like that. And I was really nervous because I actually don't love things that have to do with like Excel spreadsheets. And it's just not my favorite thing. But what I did remember when I got really nervous about that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to take so much time. I don't know what I'm going to do. Started making up all this meaning around a schedule. And then I could remember, wait, I did the entire schedule for the school before. I can do this small schedule that's only a couple weeks at a time. I've done it before. I can do it again. That's performance expectation. So learning to tell yourself the story, not just something you've made up, but finding a story for yourself to remind you that you have that skill and you can move forward. That's performance expectation. That's number 1. Number 2 is vicarious experience. And basically, I've seen someone else do that. I think I can do that too. And what is really important about vicarious experience, it is around the idea of a peer, somebody who represents a lot of who you are. So, for example, although Tony Robbins is an amazing speaker, he's not somebody I, as a Midwestern white woman, am going to get a lot of vicarious experience from. I need to find somebody who feels a little bit like me. There's enough identification with that person that I can say, oh, they're doing that. I can do that too. So that's when you're talking about vicarious experience, we actually have so much to choose from because of social media. So find somebody on LinkedIn to follow. Find somebody on Instagram or Facebook, somewhere where you can say, this person is doing what I want to do, and they're enough ahead of me, but enough like me that I see that I can do that too. That's vicarious experience, and that helps increase your confidence, and that's your self-efficacy. So we've got performance expectation, done it before, you can do it again. And then you find vicarious experience, which is someone who is enough like me that I have the confidence that I can do that too. And then we have social influence. That's number 3. Social influence is something you invite into your life. This is being coachable, this is being teachable, and actively seeking out coaching, feedback, and being teachable around that idea. Not just waiting for somebody to come through and say, hey, I think this skill is something you can improve, but really seeking out the coaching and the feedback that you need in your life, and then accepting it and learning to apply it. That's the important part of social influence. When you have somebody in your life who is actively giving you feedback, actively coaching you, helping you work things out, you have this emotional experience, but also a physical and mental experience that says, I'm on the right track. I'm doing the thing. That's self-efficacy, and that is confidence. So, as a coach, one of my favorite things to do is group coaching. So, I have coming up what's called the Catalyst Leadership Lab. And in the lab, these are some of the things that we work on. I am your coach. I help you work through some of those things. You also need to find somebody who is outside your industry. That's something I provide, but also finding somebody who's with you on a regular basis that you can say, hey, I'd love for you to give me some feedback around this idea. It could be a peer, it could be a manager, it could be somebody on another team, but you're in those kind of cross-functional meetings all the time together, but you really respect their opinion. Social influence helps you course correct as you're going forward. And when you feel the confidence to course correct as you go, that's the skill of social influence, of inviting it in and being teachable and coachable. It's an incredibly important part of confidence and self-efficacy. All right, number 4 is imaginal experience. So basically, this is seeing the future and believing that you can imagine yourself in that future. So this one is a little bit interesting. There are 2 parts of it. One of it is the emotion. What will it feel like when I get to do that thing? What will it feel like when I have that promotion? What will it feel like when I create and innovate this product? What will it feel like when I shift industries and get that new job? What's the emotion of that new experience? The emotional impact of that is an important part of our imagination. And that's how we start to envision what it could be like. That's one part of imaginal experience, is the emotion behind it. Vision boards are great for that. Even just thinking about, what does it feel like if I put myself in that position? What is that like? So that's the emotion. The second part of this is the process. What does it take to get there? Not just imagining yourself, although who hasn't imagined themselves, I won, and you're like holding the Oscar in the shower. Yeah, that's fun. But the process of getting there is actually what research shows this imaginal experience provides for you. So that means imagining the steps to get there and yourself doing those steps. So when I was in high school, I was on the swim team. And one of the things we practiced a lot were imagining our perfect strokes. So we would practice them in the water, but also just envisioning, here's what that stroke looks like. Here's the process of a turn. Here's the process in my mind, imagining what that perfect entry into the water of my hand looks like. That's imaginal experience. So you are practicing in your mind what you will do, the process. That is an important part of confidence. Hey, Giacomo. So it's not just it'll be so great. And you're standing on the stage and you win the Emmy or you win the award for your company or you're there. It's not just the end goal, it's the process of how you get there. Imagine yourself doing those steps. That's part of self efficacy. And that skill is part of confidence. Okay, the last one, number 5, our physical and emotional regulation. This is all about self control. So, there are a few components to physical and emotional regulation. One of them is taking care of yourself. I know. We hear all about self care, we hear all about it, but we in our Western world have become really terrible at paying attention to ourselves, of deciding that we have enough sleep, that we have nutrition to put within us, that we don't have Red Bull and caffeine all day long, or we don't do some of the other things that aren't healthy for us. That taking care of your physical body is part of confidence. And I'm not just talking like looking good. I'm just talking about caring for ourselves, for our basic needs. If you have ever studied Maslow's pyramid, our basic physical needs are something we don't always look out for. And if you can't take care of that foundation, your confidence is actually going to wane. It is physiological. So that's part of taking care of yourself. Learning how to process emotions is an important part of emotional regulation, but it's also about self awareness, knowing what is going to frustrate you, knowing where your deficits are, knowing the things that are going to stress you, and learning how to cope with that because we can't always avoid all the stressors. And that is where I think the Enneagram is unbelievably helpful. So, the Enneagram is a personality framework that helps us see why we think, act, and feel the way we do. It's about our motivations. And the Enneagram shows us a level of self awareness that gives us enough room to regulate. So there is the thing that happens, we call that the stimulus, and then we have our response or our reaction. And when they're really close together, we don't feel in control. When there is more space between the thing that happens and our response, we feel in control. That's self efficacy. That's physical and emotional regulation. This space in the middle, the fancy term, is called the liminal space. And the work of the Enneagram is really helping you make that space bigger. So you learn how to take care of yourself and how to regulate your emotions. So you are processing emotions and not just reacting and, like the snake that comes. That's the important part of emotional and physical regulation. So these 5 components, these 5 skills are absolutely what you need to increase your leadership and improve your confidence. So, I mean, power skills is what Forbes called them, and I love it. They're not soft. These aren't little tiny things. These are important skills that will change and shape not just your leadership in the workplace, but think about how that will increase and improve your relationships and your general well-being and feeling of fulfillment in the world. So I'm just going to review them one more time because I remember I was a teacher. I can't help it. So performance expectation, done it before, you can do it again. 2, vicarious experience. I've seen this person that's a little bit like me do that. I think I can do that too. 3, inviting coaching and feedback, social influence. So get a coach, get somebody who is outside of your industry that can help you, and get somebody who is inside your regular everyday life that will you trust that can give you coaching and feedback. You need both. 4 is imaginal experience. So the feeling of what it's like when you achieve what you're wanting to achieve, but also imagining the process, you doing the steps to actually get there, creating your own mental movie montage of you doing the actual steps. And then 5 is emotional and physical regulation, practicing that self-control, taking care of your basic physical needs, sleep, nutrition, water, hydration, all of that, processing emotions appropriately, and really learning about yourself, self-awareness. That's where the Enneagram personality tool comes in. And I would love to offer you something more. So I am doing a free Enneagram and Leadership Masterclass next week. It's a 3-day masterclass around lunch. So all the details are in the description of this. What is this called? This live, but it's also in the first comment. Let me see if I can drop it in here again. Um, Hey, I can. Oh, no, I didn't. So this is the masterclass training. I'm so sorry. I'm not looking at you right now. I have two screens and I can't do that. So this is the training section that you can, oh, it wouldn't let me post a comment. I'll fix it later. Anyway, you're going to go to jenwhitmer.com/enneagram/leadership/masterclass. And you can have all the details. It is a free masterclass. And we're going to work on why self-awareness gets you paid more, why the Enneagram is the secret sauce, and then 3, what are the 9 types and how do they help you achieve your goals? So if you are wanting more than, just what we can do here on LinkedIn Live, I really encourage you to sign up for this free masterclass. It is great information. It is really a time where you can get lots of questions answered. And there's also homework to help you apply it, because I don't want you just showing up to a random webinar. I want you to really get something out of it and put it in your life. And if you are considering the Catalyst Leadership Lab, the masterclass is a great taste of some of the information that we will go through and how coaching and feedback, that social influence, can have real efficacy in your life. So I hope this was helpful for you today. 5 skills to catapult your leadership. If you've got more questions, hey Zena, if you've got more questions, drop them in the comments and I will come back and answer them or send you a DM, because sometimes the live comments are really funny. I hope you all have a great Thursday, and don't forget to sign up for the Enneagram Leadership Masterclass. Bye, everybody.